Alright, so welcome back. In this video, we'll see some basics of manipulating strings. We'll see that certain operations, which are essentially arithmetic operators, can also be used for doing certain kinds of string operations. So a string is anything which is enclosed within codes. So this is a string, and this can be assigned the name a equal to example string is equal to this. All right, so the nice feature, the subtle point over here, basically in Python, everything is an object. And for example, when I say this is a string, it creates an object, a string object. And when I say eg string is equal to this, it basically gives a name to this particular object. So this variable is essentially a name for a string object. Now suppose I want to concatenate two strings. 2 is equal to right. If I want to concatenate these two strings, I can just do eg string plus string2. Right, so the plus operation here is it can be used not just to add two numbers. So for example, if I have two integers or two floating point numbers, then the plus operator will output the sum of those two. But for example, if I have two strings and I use the plus operator, then it basically concatenates these two strings. Right? So the plus operator in some sense is said to be overloaded. So depending on what kind of objects it is operating on, it will result in a different kind of operation. So 1 plus 2, maybe 1 plus 2.4, print string 1 plus string 2. Right, so this concatenates these two strings, whereas this adds these two up. But now if I do say 2 plus string 2, this will give me an error because I'm adding operators, I'm adding objects of the wrong, which are not of the same type. So this is not allowed. There's something else that you can do. Suppose I want to repeat a single string, say multiple times. All right, so for example, suppose I want to print this star. All right, so this just outputs a sequence of stars. I can print it this way, or there's a convenient operator, which is 20 times, if I give an integer multiplied with a string, it basically concatenates this string with itself 20 times. All right. So that's a nifty feature that is available in Python. Okay, so I can take any string and it basically multiplies. So multiplication is the same as just repeating a particular string. Right? But strings can also be treated as arrays. So now if I say string 1 equal to this is a string, and I want to output, say, the third character of this, I can use string 1 colon within square brackets 3, and this outputs the third character, which is so indexing always starts from 0. So the third character would be string 1 of 2, which is I. So that's a good point. So indexing in any array in Python, indexing starts from 0, just like C or C++. So string 1 of 0 is the first character, string 1 of 2 is the second character, and string 1 of 1 is the second character, and so on. Now if I want to output a substring of this, then So this is an example of indexing a string, but I can also use slices. So string 1 of 2, 5 will output the third and the fourth and the fifth character. So sorry, the third and the fourth character. So 2, so string 1 of the third and the fourth and the fifth character, which is in this case the third character is I, the fourth character is S, and the fifth character is space. Right. So this is an example of what is called slicing. So essentially a substring of the given string. Right. So some useful ways of indexing is the following. So suppose I give string 1 of -1. I want to get the last character. So -1, if I index using negative numbers, then it basically goes from reverse, right? From starting from the last character. So even if you don't know what is the length of the string, the last character can just be obtained using uh, uh, -1. So for example, if I do -3 to -1, it gives me -3 and -2, right? Which is I and N. Right, so typically slicing uh, x of a to b effectively gives the substring x of a, x of a plus 1, and so on, all the way up to x of b minus 1, right? Doesn't output b. So it's similar to sort of for I equal to a, I plus plus, and up to b minus 1, or strictly less than b. Right, that's a way to think about indexing in Python. So this is true irrespective of whether you have a string or also an array. So now I can declare an array in the following manner. So ARR1 equal to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, so this easily declares an array, and I can index this array. ARR1 of b gives me 4. This is the fourth element of the array. Again, indexing starts from 0, and I can also output a slice of this array. ARR1 of say 2 up to 4. That gives me 3 and 4. Right, so that's how slicing works. Just like strings, you can also index and slice arrays. Okay. Now suppose I have this array ARR1, ARR2 equal to 7, 8, 8, 7, 9. Right? What happens if I do ARR1 plus ARR2? It concatenates. So if I have an array and I use the plus operator, it concatenates these two. All right. So that's a point to remember. If I declare a normal Python array, then the plus operator does not really add elements of the array. It just concatenates these two. Similarly, if I do say 2 into ARR2, it doesn't give me 2 times 7, 2 times 8, 2 times 9. It gives me 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9. Right, so that's an important point to keep in mind. Right. So effectively, these are two different kinds of objects. We've seen ranges. So the kind of objects we've seen are range 1 to 10. Right, so that's one kind of an object. The other is a list. This is a range x equal to 1, 2, 3. This is a list, and we've also seen strings, which are kind of like lists. Yes, string. This is a string. There are two other kinds of objects which are useful. One is called a tuple. So let's say two. So tuples are denoted within uh, parentheses, and these can contain elements of different types. So for example, I can have one, a. So this is a tuple. So print t, give me 1, a, 2. But I can also index tuples. So t of 1 gives me a, t of 0 gives me 1, and so on. It's just the same operations, just like I have on a range, or a list or a string can be used on a tuple as well. So I can have r equal to this, r of 2. That's, oops. Right, so r of 2 is equal to 3. So I can do indexing, I can do slicing on ranges, lists, strings, and tuples, but these are different kinds of objects. So tuples can have elements of different types. Strings, of course, it's a string object. It only has it's a sequence of characters. A list again is a sequence of elements of the same type, and a range is a sequence of integers, a regular sequence of integers. Right, so this was a quick introduction to some basic elements, and you can do all of these. You can do indexing, you can do slicing, and you can use these operators, the plus and the multiplication, the star operator, to concatenate strings or repeat strings. All right, so these are some basic elements, basic objects that are extremely useful to use.